Testing 1, 2, 3. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system of America. If this were not a test, it would be followed by actual, I don't know, I can't remember how it went, but you don't know about this. By the way, welcome back to Expat Parley from the northern German plains, an undisclosed location, and the shack isn't as cold today. Our little wood shack in the middle of the forest here.
The sun came out. The
sun came out for a minute, and it was like 10 to 13 degrees Celsius the last days. And today it was like 10.
Yeah, it was
10
crazy.
degrees. That's like almost, that's like 39. It's like 40 degrees.
It's windy though. The wind's blowing at night.
The windshield factor gets it back down to 30.
Yeah. You think the house is falling apart.
Yeah. So welcome back, all you expatriates out there and those who feel akin to them and want to listen to us talk about what it's like living abroad outside of our countries. And I was kidding around saying, this has been a test of the emergency broadcast system. When I was a kid in the 1980s, even in the 70s, into the 90s, every now and then, before cable came out, before people had those big satellite things, remember those? There's one on the top of the shack here. Nobody uses it. But before people used the internet to watch television, you actually had like an antenna that stuck out of your television. And for all of you that are probably up to Generation X, remember this, and you'd move the antenna around, we had good reception.
We had that as kids too.
You had it too?
Yeah, well,
That's odd.
We were 20 years late basically, but
you were definitely 20 years late. Because I remember in the 2000s when I moved to Germany, nobody had that. Everyone had cable, or starting around 2010, people just had their television they were just using the internet. They were just hooked up. That's what I do. I haven't used cable or a satellite or anything probably since 2000. Let me think about it. Probably since 2012, maybe longer. I've just been using cable. What's it called? Internet television. If I even watch television, who the hell watches television anymore?
Watch television anymore. It's kind of sad, actually. All those programs are dying.
Yeah. I mean, some people do. I mean, we're watching television, but it's, it's Netflix and that's where nobody really watches. I mean, the other night, somebody I caught at my place watching Germany's Next Top Model on ProSieben or whatever the hell it's on, and Heidi Klum dancing around, doing her little voice. One time I had to be a sausage, and I just was a sausage. If you can't be a sausage, then her voice is a mixture of Mickey Mouse. It's Mickey Mouse if Mickey Mouse was doing methamphetamine. That's Heidi Klum's voice. Everybody brings me to do. So, and it's in German.
So I can't even relate to it at all.
You must ein Leberwurst sein. And ich war ein Leberwurst. Sorry, yeah, that is literally Heidi Klum's voice. And her daughter, I don't want to be mean, her daughter was always kind of a chubby girl. And look, you're used to looking at Heidi, and then there's this, what are you doing? You're playing with the...
yeah, just a little bit with the sound.
You're playing with the sound. Her daughter, who was... I don't know what they did to her. Her daughter was looking, kind of a couple of years ago like she was eating too much sugar, like she needed to get on the paleo diet, like she needed to do Lion's diet with Michaela Peterson. And now they must have done like a diet with her. They did a little bit of, they must have had a skincare thing. They really worked on it, got the makeup, and now she's like, she's not a supermodel. She's not Heidi Klum. There's only 4 of those on the planet. But, she looks better. She got her shit together. She looks healthy.
That's good. That's always good.
Yeah, but, and she can't speak German. How can you be Heidi Klum's? What? Heidi Klum's daughter speaks German, but poorly. I mean, I think she's gotten it better.
What do you mean? Poorly. I don't know that.
She tried it like a couple of years ago. She'd be on television trying to make her daughter speak German. She'd be like, "No, Mom, I don't want to do that. I don't want to speak German." And then she'd speak. Then she was just bad at it. But I think she grew up in Los Angeles.
Okay, I don't know these people, so they moved like.
Yeah.
And they had the daughter. I
don't even know her name. What's her name? Lainey Klum? I don't even know. But at any rate, when I was a kid, they used to have you'd have your little antennas and you'd move them around. And we were lucky because we lived, as far as New England is concerned, we lived a little higher up, and there wasn't much going on when you lived in New England back in the 80s. There weren't, you think it's not very populated now. You should have been in the Berkshires in the 80s, and We lived up, I don't know how many meters above sea level. Oh, my eyes are driving me crazy from the pollen. But anyway, we lived at a certain height, and we would get Canadian television once in a while. I don't know how. I think that Iceland or parts of Canada were getting like English television because there was this whole English Commonwealth Canadian thing. So we would get something from England, like there was something that would come on. You get Benny Hill, but we'd also get New York in the other direction, which most people didn't get, and we'd get like New York Public Television, which was a catastrophe. It was always just some guy smoking a reefer or talking about sex education at 2:00 in the morning. It was, and then there was the thing that would come on every now and then. There were these things that just make you realize that you're from a different time. There were the emergency broadcasting things where all of a sudden the screen would turn like 4 colors. There was a noise, a beep, meep, a beep, followed by the beep that would say this was a test of the emergency broadcast system. And it was supposed to be if there was a catastrophe, what everyone thought, because it was the 80s, was if there was a nuclear attack by the Russians. The Russians are coming.
We have it here.
No, we don't.
Every Saturday
Oh, come
there's
on.
a siren.
Yeah, it's a siren, but this was on television.
Well, yeah, but that's okay.
We had the siren go off,
We have
too.
it sometimes on television. It's everywhere. It's on television and on all the phones.
I don't know if people still have it in the United States. I haven't been in the States. I haven't lived in the States in I don't know how many years, 25 years.
It's definitely a thing in Germany. It's like an emergency thing. If there is,
Maybe
some
30
kind
years.
of extreme pollution in the air,
Mhm.
some kind of, I don't know.
So every day.
Thinking. Yeah, but like, I guess worse than that. I don't know.
Yeah, the
Or
Emergency
fire,
Broadcast
I think.
Association of America.
Yeah, what is the other one? I mean, probably
Anything.
like
Anything.
nuclear bombs falling.
A catastrophe.
A catastrophe. Any type of catastrophe. They still have it like once or twice.
And Germany
a year.
has catastrophes.
And we have it every week here. A siren. Well, Germany has catastrophes because Germany is the catastrophe.
Yeah, you have to understand that for those of you that are not, for Americans or whoever who is out there and is not, and you've never been to Europe, Europe has a lot of like Germany, you think, people think of Germany as a bunch of people running around in lederhosen drinking beer and then farming. And then, of course, maybe in Wolfsburg, someone making a Volkswagen, some engineers wearing glasses. And that's about it. They don't realize that there's whole parts of this country that every springtime, all the villages get washed away underwater.
This place gets flooded like once a month.
Because
That's
there's no
insane.
real estate here. People normally would say, well, why don't you move? Why don't you move out of wherever the hell that's happening? I always forget, down in Saarland or wherever the hell it is.
Hamburg too.
And Hamburg too,
Parts of Hamburg get
but
flooded
not like down in the south.
Parts of Hamburg get flooded once a month.
That's true.
Up to your knees.
Yeah. But the really bad ones are when they have to call the Bundeswehr,
Yeah.
the military, and then they come and they try to,
Couple meters.
save people, and they can't move. There's no real estate. Where are they going to move to? Poland? They're not going to, they have to. If they're going to stay in Germany, they're stuck. There's not much real estate here, so those places get flooded all the time, and it's like a real problem. Like you said, here also there's been some major floods. So people think it's like easy peasy, but Germany's got its own little catastrophe. It doesn't have mudslides like where Gavin Newsom is the governor, whatever the
No,
fuck.
we have mud, but we don't have elevation, so there's no slides.
There's no slides.
Just sinking.
We just have sinking mud. Yeah. But anyway, there was that, and then there were the milk cartons. Oh, there was I talked about this once. No, there was do you know where your child is? Which I think is hysterical when I think about that today. They would have like famous people in New York stations, sometimes Connecticut too, and they would come on at 2200 at 10 o'clock at night, in the 10 o'clock p.m. And they would come on and they would say, like, I remember Madonna doing it, Huey Lewis, I think it was, doing it, Pee Wee Herman, I think that guy just died, the guy who played Pee Wee Herman, I can't remember his name, but like, people who were famous in those days would come on and Madonna would go, she would say, it's 10 o'clock, do you know what I'm doing? She used to have an accent. She used to have like a fake New York accent and a Chicago accent. And then at some point when she got married to Guy Ritchie, she started speaking like a Connecticut private school girl. She became a Connecticut private school girl. Madonna went from having a slutty like accent from the city, and she turned into someone who's related to the Queen. But she used to be like she'd be like, you know, she's like, the bears. She had that kind of accent. You don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and she'd say, you know, it's 10 o'clock at night. You know where your fucking kids are? You know, that's how, you know, and Pee Wee Herman would come on, and I'm not going to do the imitations, but, you know, and people would literally like and my father, I actually saw him do it because we weren't home at 10 o'clock at night. Didn't matter how old you were. 10 o'clock at night in the summertime, you didn't come home. You came home when either somebody in your town, a relative, or if it wasn't a relative, like someone, you may not have even known who they were, went up to you wherever you were and said, hey, your parents are looking for you. You know what I mean? You know, and then you went home. Or you're like, I'm going to stay at a friend's house. Maybe when I get to my friend's house, I'll call. You know, and sometimes your parents would just wake up in the morning, and if they'd walk the dog, or if the dog ran off, they'd look for you and the dog. But to make a long story short, I remember one time being home, and at 10 o'clock at night, it was like a Friday night, my father had Dallas or Falcon Crest, one of these nighttime soap operas that was incredibly popular, not just in America, but in Germany in the 80s, in the late 70s and the 80s. You know, Dynasty, I don't know, there's some sort of Friday night Love Boat. I don't know what the hell was on Friday nights, but there were these Friday night shows, and he would get his newspaper, and he wouldn't really watch the shows. He used to read about 20 newspapers a day, the man, and he would he'd get his newspapers, and he'd have his reading glasses on. And I was in the room with him watching Battle of the Network Stars, one of those 1980 things that came on a Friday night, you know, once in a while. That's probably why I was home. I wanted to watch Battle of the Network Stars because, like, all the pretty actresses would be in bikinis. You don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what it was. So anyway, and I'm sitting there watching that, and someone comes on and says, you know, do you know where your fucking kids are? It's 10 o'clock at night. Downtown Manhattan accent back then, or a Queens accent. You know, they sound like, who's the Joker's girlfriend with the baseball bat? Harley Quinn. Yeah, it's like Harley Quinn. You know, do you know where your fucking kids are? Chewing a gum, swinging a baseball, because I'm gonna hit them with a baseball bat if you don't find them. Okay, Joker, I'm coming. You know, that kind of voice, because it was from New York. And my father looked up from his paper quick, and like looked. He's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, he wasn't sure if we were there. He didn't know that we were sitting in the room. So he looked over from his paper, and he's like, oh, yeah. And then he went back to reading his paper. And I'm like, holy shit, that thing works. And I was thinking, when we're not there, does he look up and he goes, yeah, good, they're out there. They're out there getting some fresh air. They used to throw you, if you're a kid if you're Gen X, the last generation, that parents would throw you out of the house all the time. They would actually come up to you in the morning, which was early because I grew up on a farm, and my father would come in sometime between 4 and 5, and he'd go, get your asses out of bed. And that meant get outside. And then we go outside, and the door would shut. When you heard that door shut, it was like being, you know, like ostracized, like you had just been like you had been kicked out of a castle. You did something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that was it. And then you kind of like, if you didn't have anything to do, you just sat out. If you just like, you would grab the dog or nothing, and you would sit out. I can literally remember at a certain age, just sitting on the driveway, just looking at stones and kind of sitting there and just moving them around and playing with them a little bit. And then my brother would come over, and my little brother, and he's like, you want to go do something? Then we go for a walk down to this tree. There was a tree that had fallen over when we were kids. I don't know when, if a lightning bolt hit it or whatever, but somewhere down in the forest, a tree had fallen over, and it was laying on the stump still. So it was like kind of made, in our imagination, like a beam to a roof. So we grabbed a bunch of this, like when we were 8, 9 years old, we grabbed everything that we could find laying around the forest floor and made that fallen tree that was still laying on the stump, that, you know, kind of above the ground, we made it into a little place to live. You know, so when we got kicked out, we had a different place, and we go down there and we cleaned out the ground, made it nice, and that was our little like place to hang out for a couple of summers until we moved. But but you know, where was I? Sorry, got a frog in my throat, as they say in English. A frog.
You say that in English?
Yeah, a frog in your throat. What do they say in German? Ein Frosch im Hals. Yeah, the same thing. Got a frog in my throat. I don't know if it came from English or if it came from German or if it's just a general
but people
another
understand
language.
If you say it right.
Absolutely.
Like,
I've got a frog. I've got a frog in my throat. I've got a toad in my. No, that'd be only reptile you can do it with. You can't be like I got an alligator in my larynx. So anyway, getting back to where was I? Oh yeah, and the other. So there was that, and then there were that was the things on television that were odd. They don't have anymore. Where's your fucking kids? Where are your kids? Do you know where your kids are? You have kids, right? Oh shit! What do we do with those? And then the what was the other one? Oh, the Emergency Broadcast System of America would, beep, beep, beep for about 10 minutes. Then it would go off and it would say, if this was really an emergency, a real emergency, it would be followed by instructions, which in my brain was always get in the car. People that live in zone 2 or whatever, that live here, drive there. That's what my father told me. He's like, listen, they tell you to get in the car and drive somewhere, like, if you had to leave this area. And people were ready for that. My father had his car sort of situated, I don't know if he was being crazy, in a way that we could get away fast. And he had a route planned how to drive up to Canada.
Really?
And I always thought, if everybody's leaving where they are and we're going to Canada, the Canadians left and where'd they go to? The North Pole? You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like, why everybody kind of assumed where I was living in Connecticut, that going further to the north, like Frankenstein did, to get away from mankind. Like, Frankenstein in the book, he keeps going further north, and because he wants to get away from humans. Well, that was the idea, that if you went further to the shittier the weather got, the less people would be there, and you'd be safer from the maddening crowd of New York, Chicago, of all these cities. So that was the crazy idea of people living where I was living. You got to head up to the north, and I used to think, we're so fucking secluded. This is where we should stay. My father, no. The New Yorkers will come. The New Yorkers will come here. I'm like, why? He's like, their city got bombed. I'm like, but wouldn't they be all dead? He's like, shut up, Tommy. One of these days, your mouth's gonna get you in trouble. And he used to have, he had his rifles. He had this one rifle that everybody had when I was a kid. It was a 10-22, with high velocity bullets. It's a rifle that has a baby round in it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It'll kill you just like anything else. And it was deadly up to like, it was like 800 meters, like 900 yards. It was supposed to be deadly high velocity round. My father used to say that's a good, but it was a tiny bullet. So he had that ready to go because it was light. You could move it around, bang, 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 bang. It's like a home intruder weapon to have. And he had traveler's checks. Like if there was a nuclear war, people would be cashing those. You know what I mean? Like a nuclear war, you want to have what? Food, water, gold, knives, guns. People aren't going to be taking travelers. I think the days of traveler's checks will be over in the, in the nuclear holocaust, right? But he had like a ton of money in traveler's checks hidden around the house. And I was thinking, nobody's going to take your, you know what I mean? There's going to be looting and pillaging. Like, what are you going to do? Stop at a Best Western or at a Hyatt hotel and be like, oh, I got traveler's checks. God, people were silly. But that was their preparation. His preparation was that. And, yeah. So anyway, and the other thing that was a 1980s thing that sort of is akin to this. It's not the television. It's not about the television antenna trying to jimmy it around, move it around, trying to get it so you can pick up Benny Hill, and trying to get Canadian stations. But it's all the thing was the milk cartons. I don't think they do that anymore. Milk cartons? I got to ask some Americans. They used to have kids on the back of the milk carton. Kids that were kidnapped or missing.
Oh, okay. So everybody would see their face.
I wonder if it worked. I wonder if it ever worked. I never heard about someone was like, I made some brownies and I had some chocolate chip cookies. It was the middle of the night. And my wife's like, don't eat all those cookies. And I went downstairs and I got myself a nice cold glass of milk. And I'm eating that cookie. Holy shit, the kid was right there in the front yard. I saw it on the milk cart. I don't think that happened ever,
But imagine you grab the milk, like, I don't know, it takes you like 4 glasses to finish a milk carton. So you
just study that picture.
You saw that kid 4 times, at least.
You should have put him on the Wheaties.
Plus when you bought it, plus when you threw it away. So
you saw him.
You did see the kid like a bunch of times. It's actually kind of clever.
They used to have, and I don't know, but I haven't lived in America in years. Americans can tell me this. When you went to the post office, I don't know, people go to the fucking post office anymore. When you went to the post office, there used to be pictures of people that were wanted. You and I were at the precinct.
Yeah, they have it here.
Yeah, and well, I don't know if that was for us. We walked into the precinct. here in our little town because we had to talk to the police about some bad things that we found out were happening, and on the wall they had all these pictures of people who were wanted.
Yeah.
And
well, they weren't for us. I think they were for the police.
They were for the police to memorize them. They're not for the general public because the police officer that was looking at when we were talking to, he didn't seem to. He said, "Come over here, like don't look at that." It's Germany. It's socialism. They don't want you going out there and doing their job. Like, whoa, I found that guy. You know what I mean? The guy.
They'd rather just not find him.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just weird. That police officer, he was telling us everything. Apparently, we're living in a town, just so everyone knows, where there's nothing but farms and things like that. And this town is horses. There's actually
cows.
There are more horses here. This is the town. If anybody likes horsies, this is the town with the most horses per people in Europe. That's a lot of horses.
Tell them they'll figure out what we are.
They won't figure it out. They'll probably think there's a town over in France. There's like 4 towns in France. Oh shit! Now they know it's not France.
That one.
Yeah, we're in that one. We're in the Bordeaux country. Not Bordeaux. What's it called? We're in the Normandy, the Britannia. That's where we are.
That's right.
But anyway, and the guy said to me, I said to you and me, the police officer that was there, he goes, "You think that's a problem? You know what's going on in this little town? That's this little town."
Holy shit! He was.
I said this little town.
Can we say that?
I guess. Well, apparently it's knowledge. He said this little town, this little tiny town in the northern plains of Germany, heading towards Denmark. I'm thinking, what? I mean, if you're here, they pull the streets at night after about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. It's dead. It's like I Am Legend. There is no humans moving.
Here.
Sometimes you'll hear those owls, those weird owls making those noises. I heard an animal this morning. I don't know what the fuck that thing. It's like it sounds like a.
That wasn't an owl. That was your neighbor.
No. It sounds like a pigeon having sex with a cocker spaniel. It's like weird noise. Very odd noise. And only this time of year I hear that one.
We've Canada geese here right now.
Yeah, the woodpeckers are going crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I turn,
we had 2 German guys with like huge lenses, like 10,000 euro lenses, trying to get a woodpecker on their on their camera.
I said to him, "Is that a woodpecker?" He's like, "Shh." He's like, "They're very shy." I said, "I am too." He said, "No, but I mean," he was so upset. He was like, "Shh." I'm like, "You're in the middle." I'm like, "You're in a park where everybody's walking."
I felt like I was in one of those skits of the British guy, the English guy.
Which English guy?
The basketball player.
No.
And he makes those TikToks of Germans.
Oh,
his wife's a German.
Yeah, that guy. He's a basketball player?
Yeah, he's a basketball player apparently.
How did you find that out?
I googled him once and he was in a basketball tricot. I was like, "What? He's a basketball player?"
I'll tell you something. During the lockdown, up until maybe a year or 2 ago, he was like
still is.
Oh, he's still famous?
He's going crazy. I felt like I was in one of those skits because it's exactly the guy had the same voice, same face.
Yeah.
Just said the exact same stuff.
I said, "What is it?" I said, "Is it a woodpecker?" He's like, "Shh." He's like, "How dare you? They're very, very shy. Can you please move along?" He was shy. Listen, I've been walking the forest in Germany for 25 years. I have never heard those fucking annoying woodpeckers going, bah, 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 bah. And then I've heard them, but I've never heard this happen, that you walk by them, you hear them, they're all over the fucking place, banging away at the trees, trying to get their insects or make whatever woody woodpecker's doing. I've never walked by and then they hear them like, bah, bah, oh, shh. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't care.
They're on a tree. They don't give
I have never seen or heard a woodpecker get silent because a person walked by the tree. And
they're not shy.
That was a big woodpecker. Did you see him? I've never seen a black one like that with a real sharp, like.
That one was cool looking.
Yeah, I was like, "Has that one? That one looked like he's been doing push-ups." No, really, that was a.
That's badass woodpecker.
That's a badass woodpecker right there. I was like, he looked like. You know what he looked like? I mean, he was way up high. He was probably about 150 meters away when you include the height of the tree.
What?
How far away was he?
20 meters.
All right,
At the most.
When you get to be my age, it's hard. I can't judge distances. I can't tell how old people are.
150 meters?
Well, however far away the woodpecker was, he looked like Batman. He had, how Batman has that? That's what he looked like.
What?
He looked like Batman up in a tree. He was black. He had those like pointy top of the head. I thought, that's a woodpecker.
You're saying Doberman's a Batman?
He looked like a Doberman. It looked like a Doberman pinscher learned to climb a tree.
Was a bird. It'd be that bird.
It'd be that bird.
Yeah. We figured it out.
He was pissed though.
I don't know. He didn't get.
He had a giant camera with the most incredible zoom lens.
Did you see the second German?
I did.
There was a second German hiding in a bush somewhere, looking at his map when we passed by. It's just funny. It's just hilarious.
The length of that zoom lens. That zoom lens only works because it's so long. It literally gets right up. You know what I mean? No, really. How long was that zoom lens?
It was poking the woodpecker in
you're
the
good
butt.
at the distances.
That's how big it was. It's like that thing weighs like 3 kilos. Just so you know, that's a big lens.
Jeez.
They're very expensive. Like one of those camouflage lens.
That lens
you see like guys in Alaska use when they try to take pictures of like polar bears.
High-powered lenses, like radiation coming off of that thing. He's like, trying to zoom in on shit, like giving the trees cancer, everything he zooms in on. The biggest lens I've ever seen in my life, and he's worried about me saying, "Is that a woodpecker?" And he's like, "Shh." He's like, he's like, "That woodpecker has cancer, and I'm trying to do radiation therapy on." That lens was insane. Captured all the light.
Two of them. Two Germans, both had one.
It made
different
a fucking
colors.
black hole he was making with that lens. At any rate, so there were the milk cartons, to get back to what I was saying. There were the milk cartons with the kids on them.
Yeah.
And which brings me to another thing. That I wanted to talk about. Because I was thinking about how television has changed. And every time I talk about, you think about something horrible like kids on a milk carton, then you think about Jeffrey Epstein. When you think about Jeffrey Epstein, you think about all the people, all the Gen Z and millennials freaking out. Oh my God, like they didn't know there were countries in the world where there's no laws and people are being evil, but they're freaking out about Epstein, which they should be, but not to the, but they're like to the point they're like having incredible crises in their lives about it. Which shows at least they still have morality. I thought that the internet would, and I had this feeling that their morality was dying away because they had less human interaction. But apparently, Gen Z has morality. The lack of, the lack of actual human contact that we used to have, that has been outsourced by technical things like this podcast, they still have basic human, beliefs, humanity. But the thing that I want to talk about was, did you see, this is all together, Jim Carrey. Did you see that crap?
Jim Carrey?
Okay, so I don't know what's going on. For years, Jim Carrey's been one of the few guys out there. We got Mel Gibson, Jim Carrey. If you've been on Joe Rogan's and you have half a brain, you're one of these people. Jordan Peterson, Jim Carrey, who did I say?
Jim Carrey, the guy with the
Mel
face.
Gibson. Yeah, the guy with the face who does all the comedian. He's Canadian. He's famous for doing all the faces.
Isn't he Truman?
The Truman Show, that's Jim Carrey. He was also the guy who did The Pet Detective. I can't remember the name of it. I mean, come on. So Jim Carrey is super famous in the world, but for people from Germany, not quite as famous, especially your generation. But anyway, and Jim Carrey has been making statements, and I don't know if they're kind of out of context, where he's been saying, "Hey, what kind of country kidnaps children?" That could be a bunch of stuff, because there's a lot of children getting kidnapped in the United States, and it's horrible, and all around the world. But the people made it sound like it was like he was saying something about Epstein. But he's always said little things about how the government is controlling us, and I mean, and not really conspiracy theories, but he's definitely always been, he's complaining about government control and how horrible the world is and how we're all just a bunch of slaves. And he's always been that guy. And I don't know if he did it because he really believes it, or if he's just trying to make himself, it's like a little mental flex. I'm not just a joke maker, but I'm more of a philosopher kind of thing. I'm smart, Well, now he appeared, it looks like, at some kind of a French, I think it was, gala event, maybe for a movie, some kind of a red carpet. And he walks out onto the red carpet, and he doesn't sound like Jim Carrey.
He doesn't?
Nope. Jim Carrey he's like, "It was just the most wonderful I don't know what it was for. It was just the most wonderful thing. This was beautiful." You're like, geez, he's gone off narrative. That's not what he normally, that's not really the kind of stuff we hear coming from him. He's like, "This is so great." And then people look, 2 or 3 weeks ago he was somewhere and he has his hair kind of short. Now his hair is like long. Okay. Maybe he's wearing a wig. I mean, these are actors, Then they look, his face looks funny, like not right, and his eye color is different.
What?
Jim Carrey has like brown, honey brown eyes.
He does. I remember.
And very light, piercing, honey brown eyes. He's got nice eyes. Anyway, this guy has like a pale, colorless green something going on. And the whole area around the eyes looks like some kind of operation has occurred. So people are saying that Jim Carrey has been made unalive, as they say, on the internet now, because they're scared to say it. Everyone's saying it because of the things he was saying, because it wasn't sticking to the narrative. We don't know. It was made unalive. And this is a double. I know, I hate it when they say that. And this is his doppelganger, Deutsch, Doppelganger. Wie heißt es?
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger? German is Doppelganger auch?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
where
German.
it's from.
Doppelganger. This is his doppelganger.
In Russian too, by the way.
In Russian, use the German word?
I think so.
They say it with a Russian accent?
Yeah.
How do you say that?
I don't know.
Come on, say it.
I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Doppelganger.
Probably something like that.
Russian's so funny. She was watching Harry Potter or listening to Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
And all the H's or G's. So Harry Potter's Gary Potter. And what's Hermina Granger?
Hermione.
Hermione? And what is Granger?
Granger.
Okay, so they stay with the G when
Yeah.
it's a G. But they make the H into a G.
Yeah.
Привет, Gary. Привет,
Gary.
Gary.
That's funny.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. What's it?
Hermione.
Hermione. What the hell? That's a different... I'm sorry that I'm making that stupid accent when I'm trying to speak Russian.
You're trying too much. It's
Yeah,
not,
I know.
It's not working. But anyway, Jim Carrey. So he
Меня
said,
зовут Герий Пётр. Sorry, I'm being an
you're
idiot.
such an asshole.
I know, I'm
It's
such an
insane.
ass. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I'm watching Jim Carrey. Everyone's looking at this, and they're all saying that the big one is. And I saw a girl today, a well-dressed, conservative, just kind of a normal, probably English. I'm thinking she's English. I can't tell. Young lady. Looks like she's probably in her last years at the university. Doesn't look crazy. I looked at her Instagram. No crazy shit on it. Just a normal person. She's like, this is how I do my, I'm doing some plants over here. And she's like 100% sure that they have unalived Jim Carrey, as they call it, unalived. And it's his clone. And she's so sure of it that she's now doing like a requiem. She's doing a eulogy. She's like, let's take a minute and remember, because she's 100% sure that Jim Carrey has been unalived.
Just a random person?
Yeah, just a girl, a woman on the internet, a young woman. And she said, I just want to talk about how great his comedy was. And she was doing a eulogy. Because she wasn't trying to be provocative. They're all doing this. They're doing a eulogy for Jim Carrey.
Crazy.
Because this person, I'm telling you right now, this person, it was his face, like the structure of his face.
What?
He was trying to act like him, but the face was off. You know what it reminds me of? You and I
It's
were...
very unsettling if your face is off in a way, the human face. You
Yeah.
know? If you're used to something and it's just a little off.
Well, I have my theories. I'll get to those in a minute, but I'll tell you how the face was off. You and I were watching, I was watching it at my place, you were watching at your place, but we were watching at the same time, the Westminster
the dog
Kennel Show.
Yeah.
And one of the dogs that I love, I don't know why I love this dog so much. I think it's because I grew up watching a certain movie that this breed of dog was in. It was Mad Max. There was the Australian cattle dog.
Oh, no.
But the Australian cattle dog, it has a
that one was
face,
okay.
although that one
was okay. They picked
as-
the prettiest one in the country that looked most normal.
Yeah, as cattle dogs go.
Yeah.
As cattle dogs go, this Australian cattle dog was like the Heidi Klum of Australian cattle dogs. But when you look at Australian cattle dogs, their face,
something really unsettling.
there's something yeah, they don't.
Eyes, something's wrong with them.
The eyes are
They
wrong.
have something wrong with their snout.
Yeah.
Apparently, they I learned that yesterday. They bred it.
Yeah.
So if they get kicked in the face by a cow, they don't get hurt. There's
Oh.
no real like push on their face. That's why they want the face like a certain shape, the nose not as
That's insane.
like they extra bred it. But I'm not sure if that's what that is. But they look so unsettling.
We should do that with boxers, not the dogs, but professional fighters. like start breeding them and make their face a certain way so they can't get hurt. They don't get that CTE shit.
Yeah.
Those dogs will not get brain damage. They're not walking around later.
Well, hopefully not. They look like they have brain damage though, and that's the
Yeah.
problem. They look like they have brain damage just growing up. Like
Yeah, because those herding are heel dogs, as they call them, because they nip at the heels of the livestock to keep them going. Those heel dogs, you would think they'd have bad CTE. You tell them to do something, then they go do it again 10 minutes later in your house. You're like, what are you doing? They forget. Oh, I did that already. There's no sheep in the house. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like they get CTE. What's it called? CTE?
CTE, yeah.
Well, anyway, getting back, those dogs, like you were just saying, their face, like there's something not canine about them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something weirdly human about the eyes, but the place where the eyes are on the face, it's really...
a little serial killer look going on there.
Yeah, a little bit. And the thing is...
I think they put dingo in them. Dingoes. Or you know what they look like?
There is dingo in them.
You know what they look like?
What is it?
They look like there's, like somebody snuck in, probably back in the...
I swear, you know what I said when I first saw it?
What?
I said it looked like a furry.
A
who
furry.
got a really good furry suit. And it's just...
Oh, yeah, but it's a little wrinkled.
It's just
doesn't pass like
human eyes looking at you in like a suit that's supposed to look like a dog. That's what that looks like.
Maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're furries working cattle down in the land down under.
No, but wait. Gee, now I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. Oh, yeah, so these cattle dogs, they picked like the prettiest one in the entire country that looks kind of normal. But that's...
At the kennel.
Yeah.
At the Westminster Kennel Show.
Most normal one. I still wasn't a
Yeah, I would have taken that one. That one was gorgeous.
The
cool coloring too.
Yeah, it was red. The coolest thing about them, well, not the coolest, the creepiest actually, is that they also stare at you. Like that's a herding behavior that they have. So they
just stare to make
imagine
you move.
they have those eyes.
Yes.
Right? They have those creepy eyes.
Yeah.
And then they just sit and stare at you for like a good minute. And that means that they want something from you.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want.
That's
blood.
creepy.
They want blood. But it's very unsettling.
They're sorting you.
They're sorting
If you're lambs, they're culling you. Do you know what culling is?
Apparently sorting.
It's separating getting rid of the ones you don't want anymore. Anyway, they're looking at you like a ewe or a doe or like one of those little sheep out there trying to figure out, if you need to get your ivermectin, if you need to get your deworming done.
So they're
smart.
That's Jim Carrey now.
Yeah, so that dog, the way that dog looked, the Australian cattle dog, its face isn't right. Doesn't look like a real dog, like you said. That's how Jim Carrey looked in this thing. Like something's not right. So I have theories. I mean, you're just hearing this now. What do you think? What do you think is going on?
I haven't seen it. I always like to make my own picture of things.
I would show you, but it takes so much time.
Yeah, let's look at it later. But
yeah,
I mean, you're convincing.
Well, I have theories.
Well, the thing is, I actually watched a documentary on that.
Yeah.
I don't know on what channel it was. It came on TV,
Mm-hmm.
on German TV, a couple of years ago when I was like way younger. There apparently is like a real business where people look for doubles for actors, for politicians.
Yes.
They look for doubles. People can't always
Stalin
be there.
had a bunch of them.
Yeah. So that's a real thing.
Saddam Hussein had a bunch.
He doesn't have to be dead or something.
According to Epstein, we had one for 4 years.
Biden?
Yeah, Epstein
said Biden is real?
Epstein said Biden had been made unalive. For all of you people out there. And then for whatever reason, or maybe, he was like 100. And when I was a kid in the 80s, all I can say is this. His hairline was, he had lost, you could see he was like doing almost like he didn't do a comb over. He was too cool for that, Joe Biden. He did a comb back and tried to comb back over for years. And he did have real problems. I think he had a few embolisms. Mm-hmm. He had some blood vessels that were constantly breaking in his brain. That's a bad place to break. If you break a blood vessel in your finger, that's one thing. But if you break one in your, what's it called? Brain? Medulla oblongata, or whatever the hell it's called, in your circle of Reyes, you're in trouble. And he had that quite a bit.
Really?
So that would be one of the reasons for cognitive decline. But it would also be a reason that he seems to be quite old for a guy that was having schizoid ambulism.
What's
what do they call
ambulism?
I don't know. I just remember seeing it in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called The Running Man in 1988. He had a schizoid embolism. Like when he was, anyway, did you know they remade that movie with Colin Farrell?
No.
The Running Man is supposed to, I think it was The Running Man. I can't remember. I don't know. They made some movie with Colin Farrell that what's his name? That Schwarzenegger did.
Interesting.
All right. So anyway, back to schizoid envelope. No, back to Biden. Yeah, Biden's supposed to be, according to the Epstein files, according to an Epstein email, Biden. I think Epstein also was full of shit a lot, and he liked to keep.
I think he was fucking with people.
Yes.
Maybe he
and
knew
people
one
trusted
day,
him.
Maybe he knew one day this is gonna come out. He made a couple of fake emails.
And it worked.
He did just to fuck with the public. Biden's not real.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the moon.
Of the evil, people, he was the Alex Jones for the evil people. You know, Bill was like, Epstein said he was right about this and this, so it must be right. And Epstein's probably laughing.
You think Epstein was a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah,
or was he just faking out people?
No,
I think he was just trying to fuck with people.
He's too much of a con artist for that. He was just fucking with people. He's like,
that's what I think.
I'm gonna write down that this guy was dead.
That would not make him the Alex Jones at all.
No, Alex actually knows what he's doing. Scarily.
He's very well read. That's.
I think if you went in the DNA of Alex Jones and you went back, you'd find out that he's got like 40% druid or some fucking thing. It's like, this is why Alex Jones sees things that then they happen later. He's you know what I mean? Like, you know how they find, you can go back and be like, well, this amount of your family was, what's it called? Was Neanderthal. When you do those 23andMe. My brother did that.
He did?
What
came out?
I like to say is these people are, who is, and my brother always thinks he's smart, but don't go around giving people your DNA.
That's not clever. No.
They did one of those tests on a iguana, and it came out something like 30% Ashkenazi Jew. It came out like 4% Greek.
It was 51% Ashkenazi.
51%.
I'm sorry, but the jokes write themselves.
The jokes write themselves.
No,
sure.
I saw someone test his cat too, and the cat was Finnish. It's like, the thing is, I mean,
someone's touching it. Someone's touching your DNA. They probably don't do them very well. There was probably a guy who was 51% Ashkenazi Jew in the laboratory, and he coughed on it.
Yeah, that could be. There's a good chance.
This isn't like the Manhattan Project, where people are being super careful here. This is 23andMe or whatever it's called.
They're getting so many samples that they don't give a shit.
They don't know what they're doing.
But I have to say, people make jokes about it, but the actual system of it is actually that they don't take your DNA and they're like, this is 100% human Finnish DNA. No, they just kind of look which is closest to it. Mm-hmm. So if your DNA kind of looks like it's closest to, I don't know, to
people
Finnish,
living there,
to, I don't know, to Turkish, I don't know, whatever, to German, then they're just going to say that.
Yeah.
It's not, this is 100% Turkish. No, it's a fucking cat. But it's closest.
Yeah.
So now we know cats are Finnish, clearly.
Yeah. Well, the Druids like, stayed among certain clans and certain families, and they were the spiritual people, just like a lot of religions used to do. That certain families had certain jobs, and I think in the Bible it's the Levies. I can't remember if the Levies, the family Levy is. My Bible isn't that strong right now. Are the ones that are supposed to be able to be in the
languages, right? And they're
in the tabernacle. I can't remember. Rabbis, yeah. But certain families, certain clans get this job, and all their kids do that job, just like it would 100 years ago. If your dad was a plumber, then you knew he was gonna teach you how to be a plumber. You know what I mean? And I hope that's still out there, because I think it's cool that people, continue with traditions that their parents and people teach them. But anyway. Alex Jones, Druid. He's got Druid blood in him.
That's the new theory.
Yeah. There was probably a break, like in the last, 300 years or 400 years. But if you go back further enough, whatever it is in English, Alex Jones has probably some witch doctor.
Witch doctor? What is he, Irish? Or?
Well, Jones is a Scottish, not Scottish, it's a Welsh name.
Welsh.
That would make sense.
I guess,
That makes sense.
That is about the area.
Some Celtic people painting themselves green, eating mushrooms.
I could see him painting himself green.
Cuddling with that weird yellow stone. Turns out to be uranium or something.
Yeah, that's an own podcast. That's way too interesting for this.
Yeah, that's a different thing altogether. So anyway, getting back to our friend, the late, great Jim Carrey. God bless him. Rest in peace. Apparently. This is the thing people are saying. My theory, I've got a couple theories. One is Jim Carrey's always been a guy that he's always been a very creative, silly guy.
You think he's fucking with people? Yeah. He put some shit on his face that makes him look funny. Absolutely. You think he's fucking with people?
Well, AI is a scary fucking thing, and it's something that Jim Carrey would definitely probably not be into. and you know how the faces are always a little odd in AI. That could be one thing that Jim Carrey took like all he has to do is put a little lens in, and make his eye look a different color and act a little silly. And just like, let's fuck with him. Let's make my face just look a little different. I'll act a little off and fuck with him.
And he is a creative. Let's just put it
Did you
like
ever
that.
see him back in it was either the early 2000s or the late 90s at an MTV back when there was MTV? God rest its soul. There's no MTV anymore. But anyway, back when there was MTV, he was at an MTV Music Award and he came out dressed up and acting like a bearded, who was the guy from the Doors? George Morrison? George Morrison. Morrison or Morris? George Morrison. Morris?
George Morris.
Morrison.
Nah, Morris.
You know the day it turns in. I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, he comes out and he was hysterical. And it was method. He was deep in that character. He had been smoking doobies for months, riding motorcycles, going to Paris and trying to do an overdose. He was that guy. So I could see him doing that, like fucking around, being like, but also he hates, apparently, this is what people are saying. I know very little about Jim Carrey, but he hates being in public all the time. He doesn't like it. He's a little bit
So getting a double makes sense.
So he gets a double.
But people think he's dead. People think he's dead.
That's something he would like. Because,
I think that's funny.
Because when Andy Hoffman or Kaufman, whatever his name was, Kaufman, when he died, it went on for years. People saying that he had done that. He had faked his death, and he had.
Well, look at the death. Look at what was it? He was wrestling some kind of female.
I think he broke his neck wrestling a woman, a female wrestler. A female wrestler fucked him up real bad. Really bad.
I mean, that's like a comic book way to die.
Well, his problem was he did that sort of comedy that was. It's not like he got up on the stage. He's Bill Burr talking about his pit bull. He would do these what do you call that kind of comedy?
Macabre, just
a
little odd, a little off.
If it was Bertolt Brecht, you'd call it alienation, like that sort of experience comedy. And so he would do things, and sometimes he wanted the audience to be unsure, like, is this supposed to happen? Like, that girl's really throwing him around. I think he's bleeding, right? I mean, is that real blood? And it was. I mean, that was his thing.
Very different type.
Very different type of comedy. I thought it was great. Some people hated it. I thought it was super clever, and I loved him on Taxi. But for years, people say he faked his death, and I could see Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is hyper aware of those who came before him. I mean, this is his world, comedy, and he's probably thinking, I'm getting to that age now. I'll pull this gig. Either I'm making a statement about AI, like the face isn't quite right, or about clones, or about whatever's going on where people are. I mean, he's fucking with us, because I'm thinking the hair looked like he put like a hair piece a little bit in, like it's not real.
Okay.
And the eye thing, but the only thing that I thought was odd was the actual like eye socket was wrong. Like the area around the eye was wrong.
That's hard to fake, to be honest.
That's hard to fake.
That's pretty hard to fake.
So now I'm thinking it's a Doppelgänger. Er hat sich ein Doppelgänger angeschafft. He got himself a Doppelgänger.
Doppelgänger in English?
Doppelgänger. I don't know what I think in English it's Doppelgänger.
I can't say it in English anymore because it's obviously a German word. Doppel means double.
Double.
And Gänger is like a walker, like a double
walker. Yeah.
That's like a skinwalker.
Skinwalker. Yeah. I mean, Gänger is a walker, and
so
double is double.
Double is double. That walks around looking like you.
Yeah. Creepy shit.
Yeah, that is.
Did you hear that weird noise? We're talking about clones and AI, and all of a sudden I heard a door over here make a weird noise. So anyway, that's the thing. Nobody knows what's going on. I'm hoping that Jim Carrey comes out and goes, gotcha,
Yeah. I mean, it's very clever in a way. Maybe
if he doesn't come out.
Maybe he's not getting a lot of movies. And this is giving him the best exposure possible. It must be all over the internet. I
exploding.
don't know, I missed it, but...
I think Jimmy Fallon, who's an odd guy, Jimmy Fallon, just like say, Jimmy.
He got Gen Z into him in like 5 minutes. Look how fast that worked.
Look how fast that worked. Jimmy Fallon, I think it was, said that's not him. That's definitely not him.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. Jimmy Fallon's a strange fellow. I know some stories about him, but I won't tell them. But anyway, I mean, it's not a strange fellow. He's just different. He's funny. Well, all comedians are different. All comedians are. You don't become a comedian.
Yeah, but Kaufman was very different.
Yeah, he was very different.
I know you
You can't be a good comedian without
It's
being
just,
different.
I don't like it. I don't like it that much.
Yeah. You don't like it?
No.
No.
Some people like it. I just
Yeah.
it gives you an uneasy feeling. It's not.
It does. I don't like an uneasy. I have this
I
friend.
think Bill Burr used to be funny. Used to be.
Oh my God, he was hysterical.
Nowadays,
He was hysterical.
his wife's beating him up. I swear.
He's so
can't,
he doesn't know it. He doesn't know it, I don't think. And people don't tell him, but he sounds so henpecked.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't know it though. He does not know it. He sounds like he's getting beat up at home. He's always scared.
Yeah, he does.
You know, if he's about to say something
I mean,
mean.
he changed completely. He's like
Yes.
a different person now.
He got married.
He's not funny anymore. I'm sorry.
Listen, you get
He
married
used to be so funny.
and you have a couple of children. Ooh, that's it. You got, if you want to stay married and you want to keep having your children, seeing your children, then you better make sure that the woman you're with is happy. And if you say anything that she doesn't like, that's a little untoward, she has calmed him down. She's made him politically
She castrated
correct.
him, I swear.
He doesn't say.
Castrated him.
Yeah.
It's just she's keeping his balls somewhere in the fridge. It's not.
He used to
not
be
funny
so
anymore.
ballsy.
It's not funny anymore. I'm sorry.
I remember he did that skit about reducing the population. You know,
He had so much good stuff.
and he actually. Now I'm going to say something. He wasn't very political. He's become so political.
Yeah.
Everything is. He's. You know what's funny about him is I saw him at some kind of a. I saw some kind of a event, and someone said to him, "Bill, you know, you're always good for a political comment. What do you think of this, this, and this?" Where he's like on the spot, like a politician, where he actually has to say something about an issue. And he goes, "Why are you asking me?" He goes, "I'm just a joke. I'm just the court jester. I'm just an idiot. I just tell jokes. Ha, I'm not interested in politics." And then you hear every single fucking time he's on his little podcast, he's political. It's like, wait a minute, you got in front of the camera and someone
just
asked
had
you,
one of them.
but every time, he can't not talk about politics. It drives him. You can tell he's holding back. He's like holding back. And he's like, nah, I gotta let it go. I gotta say something here. He lets it rip. He says something political. It's like, what's up? If you're gonna be the jokester,
He used to just talk about
fun
stuff.
stuff. Make people laugh.
Yeah.
Be funny. That's your fucking job. Be funny. And I think that's the death of all great comedians. Is instead of thinking they think this. I'm not a comedian. I'm a philosopher. I'm a prophet. And there's I can only think of a couple of and I don't know much about comedians, but a couple who were like George Carlin. I'm sorry, Bill Burr. You ain't George Carlin. George Carlin was able to make commentary about humanity, and I don't care if back in
that was his thing.
That was his shtick.
His thing, really. And
it was
it's
great.
Not Bill Burr's thing. We know that because he used to not be like that.
And he was
not
funny
working
then.
out for him.
It's not. He's not that funny. And who was the other guy? Lenny Bruce used to say things. It was, you know what that is, but this is going back a while ago. There were a few guys that could say stuff, but mostly comedians were able, because of their character, because of, they were just born to comedians, because of the way they saw things and the way they talked, they were just funny. Ronnie Dangerfield was fucking hysterical as a human being. There was not much he could do about it. Well, you don't know who that is. That's okay. And then in the 80s, we started to get some guys being political. Sam Kinison would say something about, remember Sam Kinison talking about kids starving in Africa, I think Ethiopia. And he's like,
I remember that.
Yeah, and he's like, you ever see these guys with a camera and there's some kid walking around with a swollen stomach? He's like, give him a fucking sandwich. Why don't you give us? And then he said the other thing. He said, what about? I got an idea. Look at this. See this? It's sand. It's been sand for 20,000 years. It's gonna be sand. He goes, get a fucking U-Haul and go to where the water is. Okay. It's not really a political commentary, but it's he's saying something, and he would do that a little bit. There were a few of them that would add once in a while a tiny bit of flavoring. But a flavoring, like a tiny bit of that was the
just a little bit of
spice. Yeah, a little spice of political stuff, just a little. And George Carlin could do it because George Carlin he wasn't on the left, he wasn't on the right. George Carlin just talked about humanity and how asinine we are, but also other things about it. And it was wonderful. But man, every time you hear Bill Burr in his podcast now, he's bitching and moaning about the right. Then to make himself seem like he's not on the left, he'll say a couple of things just kind of carefully, like, oh, but the left are a bunch of assholes too. And it's so stupid. It just seems so, it's very pick-me. He's become a pick-me. In Germany, he's become pick-me.
He seems very unhappy too.
And
but he's not happy. He's just...
Well, who knows how much of that is an act? I mean, these guys are. It is a shtick.
I mean, his comedy's just become bitter.
Yeah, it is.
It's just getting harder and harder.
The one thing I noticed about Bill Burr, and obviously he's talented, otherwise we wouldn't be talking for the last 6 minutes about him. He's obviously, he's making, I'm assuming he's making tons of money.
Probably.
He must be. Yeah, I can't imagine Bill Burr's having money problems. He must be making I know he likes to gamble. Maybe he's losing it all on the Red Sox. I don't know. But Bill Burr, he there was this thing he said a long time ago. I can't remember what it was exactly. Oh yeah, he said that he had a dream. It was a shtick that he did. Remember, anything that he says, he's written it down, he's tested it. But it is a weird thing he was talking about. I think this is before he had kids, that he was having a dream, and a little kid came into his dream, and he's like, "What are you saying there, sweetheart? What are you saying? What? I can't hear what you're saying." Like, in a dream, someone's mouth's moving, and all of a sudden she goes, "You're going to kill yourself." And he was like, "What?" Yeah, exactly. That was. He goes, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Get the fuck away from me!" And there's been a couple of times that I've heard him like thematicize him. Wait, now what are we supposed to say? Him making himself unalive.
Whoa.
And he's thematicized that a few times, and maybe he just likes to talk. And I don't know.
That's creepy, fucking creepy.
Who knows what people have in their life? He seems to have problems with his father. He's like, yeah, there's only so long. I'm saying the one thing you learn in life, there's only so long that you can, there's only a certain age you can still beat your father up. When your father gets to a certain age, he's too old to beat the shit out of. And I'm thinking, geez, what is your father? I think his father was like a dentist or something. And he grew up,
I know. Remember the last podcast?
Dentist.
And depression, it's a thing.
I was thinking about that. Funny you should say that. That dentist, I was thinking about dentists and depression here in Germany, it's the highest rate of suicide or dentist. According to certain, we looked at the statistics, I think worldwide is the highest for when it comes to jobs, incredibly high. And we laughed as we said, if you're living in Dithmarschen, which starts with a D, there's your alliteration, and you're a dentist in Dithmarschen is supposed to be one of the most depressing places in Northern Europe, which is just not far away from here. If you live in Dithmarschen, you're a dentist, you're dead. Those are the 3 Ds, and where were we? Dentist, that was the other thing, like dentist, how many times do you hear people always talking about it, like dentists, taking their own, what's it called? Like, remember the laughing gas? People used to say they would, they had like Zugang. What is Zugang? It's German. Access, thank you. Access to medication and taking it themselves. And then some of the people that were dentists, Doc Holliday, who basically was just a romanticized serial killer of the Old West. People love him because he was the OK Corral. He was with Wyatt Earp. But the man killed more people than smallpox. He was a fucking dentist. Like dentists have, and when I think about dentists,
something's up with
I think about suicide immediately. I think about Bill Burr's dad. I think about, because he's always complaining, about his family.
That's the second thing you think of?
No, it's about the third, the thing that's in between Bill Burr. I think about Doc Holliday, who I'm pretty sure was a dentist. And I think about Josef Mengele. No, not Josef Mengele. I think about the movie Marathon, the Marathon Man, with Dustin Hoffman and who played the Nazi, the great actor. I can't think of his name now. The guy who played Lawrence of Arabia. He plays a Nazi that's coming up from Brazil or Argentina who had been a dentist in one of the concentration camps, and he was just the most evil fucking thing that ever existed, and he wants to get some diamonds, and anyway, there's that horrible scene where he's drilling on the tooth of Dustin Hoffman to torture him, to get him to, and he keeps asking him, "Is it safe?" And he's like, "Yes, it's very safe. It's very safe. It'll never be safer than it is today." Very interesting. And then he drills in his tooth again. He's like, "Is it safe?" He's like, "No, it's not safe." He doesn't know what to say because he doesn't know what the fucking guy wants from him. But anyway, see that movie. See that movie. What's it called? The Marathon Man?
You keep telling me. I don't know.
It's amazing. I can't think of the name of the actor, the one from Jaws who played the sheriff has a part in it. I love that actor.
He's great.
He was great, yeah.
But we need to talk about Jaws eventually.
Jaws was incredible. But anyway, so a dentist, I think about that movie. You know, is it safe? Every time I go to I'm just at I'm my dentist, by the way. Let
me see the tooth.
Yeah.
Wow.
From boxing, I had that
pretty
cracked tooth, and then I was sparring with you, and you broke it again, right?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, 2 years ago, you hit me with a left hook. I wasn't paying attention, and you broke my tooth. And that day, you hit me with a left hook. You chipped that tooth, and I stepped back and injured my Achilles tendon with one.
I'm sorry.
You're dangerous. Don't do any light sparring with women. They're way more.
No.
I'm sparring with guys. Never had a problem. I spar with you. You beat the crap out of me. But anyway,
that's not women. That's me.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah, you're so badass. Anyway, so you chipped my tooth and you fucked up my Achilles tendon, and with the same punch. Or I'm just fragile, getting to a fragile age. Anyway, I went to my dentist, and that was 2 years ago.
He did a good job.
He did it, and he did it. And that dentist is great. He is. Every time I go to any dentist, back when I was in the States or wherever, even here, I used to go and just think.
Are you going to talk about your dentist now?
No, I'm just going to say, like everyone else, I go, here we go. Doesn't matter how relaxed you try to make yourself, it's going to suck. And there's nothing fun about people prying around your mouth. They're always going to be like, it's amazing. These guys, go to school. They have very adroit. They're very with their fingers in their hands. You can't do that job unless you're really clever with it and you're really good at sensing where your hands are. You're working in a dark space.
Never thought about it that way.
Oh, it is. A friend of mine wanted to be a dentist, and to do that in Germany, you can't just have good grades at school and then go to dental school. You have to do a test that the state gives you on your ability to geometrically figure things out because you're moving in a tight space. And
whoa.
Yeah, you have to have some sort of, the Germans call it like a Wahrnehmungstest, a sense of your area
One
around
of those
you.
long, complicated words.
Yeah, you have to have that test before you can get accepted to dental school. But anyway, to make a long story short, and my dentist, I go there, you don't feel anything. I used to go to a dentist, and it didn't matter. If you had nothing, he'd be like, that hurt right there? That, fuck. Yeah, why did you hurt me? You can see it. It's like, why would you stick that thing in there?
And they try to get rid of, what is Zahnstein in English?
Oh, I don't even know what those are called. Those little, plaque.
And when they floss your teeth.
The plaque. They try to get rid of.
When they floss your teeth, and they just ram it up. Like they try to
make your gums bleed.
They're trying to make you bleed.
Jesus. The teeth just get in the way in the end.
Bloodthirsty. That's what dentists are.
Yeah. So those are the things I think of dentists. I think of the movie. I think of Bill Burr wanting to kill his dad, or beat up his dad, or whatever the hell's wrong with him and his father. The illusions that he talks about with his family. If the kind of stress, unless he's a very, what he may be. I just thought about it. There's the thing that I learned later in life, because my wife always goes, no, you got to be nice to this person, that person. You know why? In German, hochsensibel. They're highly sensitive. And she gave me a book once, years and years ago. She's like, read this book.
She gave you a book about
highly sensitive. I was working with this guy, and I was like, oh, this guy's. She goes, no, you have to read this book. She gave it to me. It was a book about highly sensitive people.
Who gave you this book?
And my wife. She gave it to me because I was working with this one dude she was right. She was right. He was highly sensitive, and the book actually helped. But I have to say something about this highly sensitive thing. Maybe Bill Burr's just highly sensitive, and his dad's this great guy. He's like playing ball with him, and he threw the ball, and the ball hit him in the head because he wasn't looking. And he was like, oh, jeez. And Bill's like, he hit me in the head with the ball and started laughing. You son of a bitch. My mother came out, she's like, what's wrong, Bill? And he's like, he hit me. She's like, why you got hit him with the ball? And he's like, it's kind of funny. You okay, kiddo? And he's like, look, he's laughing about it. And who knows? Highly sensitive people, like someone says something to you like, geez, you look a little pale there. Like, what, you okay? It's a typical German thing. Germans will do that. They're like, geez, you look, they'll tell you when you look.
Germans can't tell you that you look pale.
No. If you look not right in any way, like, they'll be very honest. They let you'll know. Most honest people on the planet, they'll tell you right away, like, what's wrong with you? Your nose looks funny. Did you get hit in the nose? No. Oh, I never noticed how big your nose is. You know what I mean? And they're not being mean. It's just an observation for them. And they're, And Bill Burr's dad, Bill Burr's dad was German. Burr's a German name. Maybe he was a German guy, and he was just very straightforward.
We figured it out.
Yeah, and he was like, oh,
he's a German dentist. Yeah, that's not fun.
He's a German dentist, and maybe he was like, your teeth look like shit, Bill. And let me tell you something. Your grandfather had red hair too. You're going to lose all your hair, little boy. You will be a bald one. Maybe he just had a German dad, And Bill was highly sensitive. He was like, what the fuck? And he was walking around crying all the time. You know, like girls do. He was like cutting his arm. He's like, what the fuck is going on? My dad is he's so German. That could be it.
He's German.
Jeez,
is he German? Burr?
Thank God our podcast is so small. He'll never heard. Yeah, Burrs it. Burr.
I swear, if he hears this, we're dead.
What's he gonna do?
I don't know. He's gonna bitch on his podcast, I guess. I don't know.
No, he doesn't care.
I don't know. He seems
Listen
kind of
to me. That guy. He's got. You ever listen to his podcast? No. You have to listen to it. It's fun. It's really good. But when you listen to it,
I can't relate to it.
That's the problem. It's hard to relate to.
I'm not into American sports. He talks about that all the time. I'm not.
Yeah, see, I like it.
Old. I can't relate to it.
That's the thing I like most about it is when he talks about sports because he keeps you updated, and he's funny about it, and that's interesting. And the guy does have, he has in comparison with me and a lot of people, right? He knows his fucking sports. He knows. Holy shit! He goes back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. He's talking about guys, or Shoeless Joe Jackson in 1917. He knows everybody's thing, you know. Anyway, that's fun, kind of. But just quickly, we'll wrap it up and get off of this. What was I going to say? If you listen to it, it's really good. It's funny, but oh my God, you start to think, what's wrong with this guy? What happened to him? You know, something happened. Something definitely happened. He's highly sensitive, and his dad was mean, you know, to him or to someone, or maybe who knows. But he thematizes it always. All right, so what do you guys think? Do you think that Jim Carrey's fucking around with us? Because it's a little too obvious. I think Jim Carrey's having fun with us.
I think he's fucking.
I think so.